Indirect oral investigation. In this method, basically the enumerator collects the information from the third parties who possess the information about the informant. Many times it has been seen that the informant itself is unable to respond or to give answers. In such a condition, the third parties, the person who knows about that person, may be contacted to get the information. It may be when the informant is not available at your place. Maybe many times we conduct the interview for the persons, those who are not available in the country, and approaching to the person is a little difficult at that time, such as any of your celebrity which is there outside the country for some matches or some events. So we collect the information by the resource persons who know about the person. It may be anyone who possesses that information which you want to collect, or it is utilized for some people when the person who is an informant is reluctant. He is very shy natured, he is very reluctant in nature and can never give the answers to you in a proper way, doesn't feel comfortable. In such a condition also you can go for this, and it is good enough for the source as when the person is not ready to give you the correct information, when secret and sensitive information about the person is need to be collected. So in all that places we generally opt for indirect oral investigation. Okay, the suitability for this method. When the area of your investigation is very large, then you can utilize this. The large area can be covered easily with this. Second thing, direct contact with informant, or you can say respondent, is not possible. The person is not available at your place at that time, or it is going to suit you when you are going to bring or collect any sensitive or secret information. For example, suppose if you are going to conduct a research for a college and then you ask the person that are you a person who smokes, so the person may deny, because many times informations are not given by the person because the informant can be biased, they are not going to give the true information. In such a condition, if you are going to ask to the person, those who know about the person's smoking habit, so that person can give you the better and correct answer. So if the secret informations are required to be collected, then in such a condition we generally opt for indirect oral investigation. Asking to any other person, the third person, about the smoking habit of the boys of graduation first year of any Delhi University's college can easily be given by third person, maybe the friends, maybe the relatives, maybe the lecturers, or the known one, those who possess that information, those who are well aware with the behavior of the person. So you can say that secret or sensitive informations, when you want to collect the secret and sensitive information, at that time you will opt for indirect oral investigation. So these are the places where this method of collecting information is suitable enough. So here we will collect the information for these purposes. I hope so it's quite clear. Now we'll see the benefits or demerits of that. Every method, as I have already told you, have its own merits and demerits. On the basis of that, we will decide which particular situation or under which condition we can opt for this. And this is one of the method which is generally accepted by the Delhi police or committees which are going to collect some secret information. So this method is utilized here because many times the informant will not give you the correct information. The third parties can give the information. For example, a general example I would like to give to you. any department, crime branch or police will generally collect the information about the crimes that happens nearby, and we know it very well that the one who is the culprit will not give you the correct information. So in such a condition, the third parties will be selected to give the answers, and this method will be best suitable in such a condition. Okay, so now we'll go for the merits and demerits of this. The merits of this method. The first one merit. Wide coverage. By this method you can cover the wide area of investigation, because when the area of investigation is very wide, this method is suitable enough. You can get the information very easily about different people from the one source only, because I hope so if you are going to conduct a research about, as I told you, about the smoking habit of the student of graduation first year of Delhi University, so one lecturer can provide you the information about all the children studying in that particular class. In such a way, it is very much good for you to cover the wide area. The another merit of this is economical. It is less expensive, it is economical, because the wide area can be covered by one person, and you don't need to contact each and every person separately. One resource person will be sufficient enough to provide multiple information about the different groups of people. So in such a condition, you can say it is very much economical for you to collect information in such a way. It saves your money. And third benefit, it is free from bias. Why it's free from bias? You know that, as I told you, that if the information is going to be provided by another person, or you can say the third party or third person, so that person will not be biased. He will provide you the information regarding all the children sitting there. If you are going to give information related to you, suppose if I'll ask you, do you smoke? You'll say no. As you can be biased for your personality, for your image, but the third person who knows you is well aware with your smoking habit, and that person will immediately inform, yes, it is true or not. So in such a condition, you can easily say that it's free from bias. The expert person will give you the opinion, and you will get the correct information. That person will be free from bias. He will not do any sort of prejudice there. Then you can get expert opinions here. If the information will be collected by them, then expert opinion. The lecturer will give you the information about the classroom, all the student of the class, their performances, their average, their score, their detailed information. So the expert opinion will be there. Suppose if you will visit to the factory and then you will approach to the manager will inform you about the working hours, working capability of different number of people working under him. So he will provide you the whole detail about the factory people, those who are working there. So in such a condition, the salary, their income, their work, their wage rate, everything will be there, which is given by the expert. So we can get the expert information through indirect oral investigation. So these were the merits. Now we will move for demerits. Now what are the demerits of indirect oral investigation? It is going to give you indirect information. So you can say when the information is given by third person, so many a times the information given by them is not correct if the person is not well aware with the situation or the informant. If the person will possess all the information, then the correct information will be there. But it might be that the person who is giving the answers to you doesn't know actual thing or reality or all the details about that informant. So in such a condition you can get the indirect information that are less valuable, less reliable, you can say, not valuable. It lacks in accuracy. Why it lacks in accuracy? Again, the reason is that the third person who possesses the information about you may not be accurate, maybe the person is well aware with everything. That's why we are going to ask the answer from another person, and that person may be biased sometimes. If the person is prejudiced and biased, then it will provide you the incorrect information. Or you can say one thing, lacks in uniformity. The data is collected by different people, so the data will not be uniform. We will ask from different people about the informant. In such a condition, the data when we will collect, maybe the person who knows you. Sometimes when we will talk about friends and relatives, so all are not the friends of each other. One friend of another, then another informant, then its friend. Means if you want to collect the information about a person, so different persons' information will be possessed by different people. So the information what we will collect can never be uniform, because different respondents are there or different informants are there. That is why if you are going to collect the information regarding the student of Kirodimal College of Delhi University, their smoking habit, so you will have to go through the students, those who are the friends there in that college. If you will possess the information of some other student of Delhi University, then you will have to go to that group. So all the time we will have different people with us who will respond to us. That's why we can say the data lacks in uniformity. The uniform data will not be there. It is lacks in accuracy. It is lacks in direct information, because it is given by third person or fourth person, third party, maybe somehow not aware with the real situation or actual data, and it can be bias. Suppose if the person who is not the true friend, or maybe the person who has some issues with you, may provide some incorrect information about you, so it can be biased sometimes. Okay, so these were the merits, demerits of indirect oral investigation. So when we know that there are some merits and demerits, so we should use some precautions while using this data. So what precaution we can utilize? The person who responds or informs you about the third party is known as witness. Precautions for indirect oral investigation. Number 1, the number of witnesses should be fairly large. Large number of witnesses should be taken here to get your correct answer. So this precaution must be there. Second thing, if large number of witnesses you have decided, it does not mean 100% benefit. One more thing that you must have to keep in mind while getting the information through your indirect oral investigation is the selection of person. Selection of person, that is a witness. Should be done carefully. It should be the person who possess the sufficient information. It means if you are going to talk about anyone regarding the informant, so that person must possess that information about him. Suppose if you want to know about the playing habit of a cricketer, so you must possess the person, you must approach to the person who possesses the information about his playing habits, who is the teammate, because that person plays with him and they knows about him. If you are going to ask to someone who is a childhood friend of that person, then they don't possess the behavior of a cricketer during the match or during that particular game. So the information, sufficient information must be there with that person who will be your witness. So these two precautions must be there for choosing your this option of indirect oral investigation. Now we'll move for the next method, and that is mailing a questionnaire.